Yeah, but it's shifted.
Say there'd be quite a few kids that couldn't. I was
Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Planning and Investment Committee of the Central Hawke's Bay District Council. I'd like everybody just to stand rather and for our opening karakia. Taka te hau ki te uru.
Taka te hau ki te tonga. Kia mā kina kina ki uta. Kia mā taratara ki tā. E hia ke ana te atakura. He tio, he huka, he hauhu, te hei, hawiriora.
It's the rain.
It looks like we have a full table today, so I won't ask for any apologies. Any declarations of conflict of interest today? Bearing in mind that you can raise those at any stage of the meeting if it occurs to you that you may have one. Standing orders, I'm not going to propose a change to them at this point. Just to note, there are no minutes in this meeting. The last time this committee gathered in February was a workshop, so there are no minutes or resolution monitoring for us today. So we'll get straight into the decision report section. First up, we have Ms. Cova with the adoption of the refreshed CHB District Library Strategy.
Good morning, Madam Chair and councillors. This morning before you is the refreshed Central Hawke's Bay District Library Strategy. As this is a decision paper, I'm going to take you through some of the key points from the report. The Central Hawke's Bay District Library Strategy is a refresh of the current library strategic framework, which was adopted in 2019. This refreshed strategy builds on the previous strategy in response to the continued growth in visitor numbers, program participation, and demand for library services, including digital support. It reflects the district's ageing population, increasing cultural diversity, and the need to reduce barriers to access for rural communities, older residents, rangatahi, and those experiencing socio-economic hardship. The refreshed strategy was informed through feedback received from the community at the last 3-year plan consultation, where the table heard really clearly the importance of libraries in our community. Other key stakeholders, such as our Friends of the Library, as well as our internal council staff, provided feedback, which was then incorporated into the strategy. There was also relevant key outcomes from the previous strategy, which we brought into this new strategy because they still remain current and relevant for our community. This strategy wasn't brought to our workshop, however, Councillor Byrne and Nand were involved in our feedback discussions, and their feedback was incorporated into the strategy. There are 3 focus areas for libraries over the next 5 years. These are being future focused and innovative, enablers of discovery and lifelong learning, and remaining connected to our community and inclusive. The strategy articulates how library services will continue to evolve and to meet the needs of our community. Having fit-for-purpose spaces, access to technology, and lifelong learning programs, strengthening partnerships and being innovative are all key factors and are what we are seeing as drivers for library services now and into the future. It acknowledges the importance of looking for opportunities by working with our regional partners and being open to new ideas and funding opportunities. In order to ensure we are operationalising the strategy, an annual action plan will be developed with measurable outcomes that align with it. There are 2 options before you today: to either adopt the Central Hawke's Bay District Library Strategy or to request the team to come back to do some work and come back to you. I'm happy to take any further questions.
Thank you, Mrs. Cova. Any questions, Bridget?
Not a question, Ms. Cova, but I'd like to acknowledge the reference to tangata whenua within your Māori engagement and say thank you for that, because when we talk about Māori engagement within Central Hawke's Bay, it comes down to mana whenua, and you've actually acknowledged Māori as being tangata whenua. Nō reira, tina koe. So thank you for that.
Any further questions? Councillor Moynihan.
Yes, just looking through the report, very well done. Just in regards to the area of after hours access, and I believe users can access up to 11 PM. Has there been any incidents of damage, theft or misuse during these after hours?
Through you, Madam Chair. No, there hasn't. There is security cameras. There's really intense inductions that not everyone has access. They must have a library card. They must have gone through the induction. They must be a resident in our district. And so I believe that and the security measures we have in place prevents that from happening. That's used really well.
Just to add on, what is the exact response protocol if something goes wrong after hours?
Through you, Madam Chair, it's a call to the police in terms of if anything happens after hours. But there is the ability, if somebody is in the facility, to provide that feedback to us through QR codes, and then we will get it in the morning. But any current goes straight through the police.
Kia ora. Tēnā koe. Just under, I think it's page 20 under the goals. Your sentence is partnerships with local service groups, clubs, schools, school networks, iwi and multicultural groups. So when I read that, iwi is from Wairoa to Masterton. So if you want to just scale it down and be specific to the rohe of Tamatea, that would, it's better just to be a bit more specific and narrow it down like that. Cool.
Thank you. I have a question myself. Under the future focused side of it, there's one of the goals is to regional collaboration takes advantage of future opportunities. What could this look like, and what are we doing now?
So currently at the moment we meet every 2 to 3 months with our whole region with libraries. So from Wairoa down to Central Hawke's Bay. And we use these opportunities to talk about what we're doing in our libraries and where there's opportunities for us to do innovative things across the whole of the district, as opposed to a region, as opposed to each of us in each district doing different things. And we've done an example of this is during a school holiday program, we partnered with Sports Hawke's Bay, and every library ran a play passport. So it didn't matter what child was involved in that, they could go into any library and get the same experience. So that's that in terms of programming. But there's also opportunities into the future where what does a library management system look like that could be across our whole region? So it didn't matter whether you lived here in Tamatea, you could go into Wairoa and you could still use your library card. And that cost efficiently, that might be something that would be better for us. But yeah, we currently have a really good working relationship, and that will continue into the future.
Well, that may affect the use of the after hours if anybody from the entire region. You mentioned that the residents, they do residents of CHB to get them after hours, but whether that would change that aspect. But it's very visionary, and
yes,
that's very cool. Councillor Nepiapte.
Is there anything that's in the library that actually talks about the name Te Huinga Wai? I remember when we opened up Te Huinga Wai, Brian gave a beautiful explanation of what Te Huinga Wai meant. There might be something that the library looks at for the next holidays to actually build that in our holiday program with our kids. So that's actually, a one way of us actually instilling, the purpose of the names that are given to our facilities.
Through you, Madam Chair, 100% the confluence with the waters, right? I remember that speech that was given, and I think it's a fantastic idea. We'll take that on board.
Just thinking about the future focus, love that, because all signalling is requiring local government to look at itself, and it's up in the air. We don't know what the purpose of local government will be, but one of the key things will be that I'd say libraries will stay. So I think that's a really important thing that you start to really look at. I was wondering, thinking long-term plan, which is obviously we're in that process of studying that now, what are some of the things that from your leadership perspective and your position that we actually now need to start considering as part of the long-term plan? Like, is there a top 2 or 3 things that investment wise we need to probably know about now, so that when we're going into long-term planning, we can make sure that the strategy matches the investment?
Through you, Madam Chair, great question. I think, and this is what is throughout this strategy, is around fit for purpose buildings. And what we're seeing is the demand in terms of people coming through our buildings is that the current space is not big enough. In particular for Te Huinga in terms of the additional services that are run through that with AA, AA is massive, but then also the meeting rooms and people coming in the school holiday programs. So I think top 1 to 2 would be around what does the facility into the future look like for libraries, in particular that Te Huinga space. And then what does regional form look like too in terms of that demand for our staff and the complex needs that are now coming through our doors in terms of the support that people are needing in our community.
Any further questions, Mrs. Cova?
Happy to move.
Thank you, Bridget. So we've, the recommendation on page 6 that Planning and Investment Committee adopts the Central Hawke's Bay District Library Strategy 26 to 31, moved Councillor Annan, seconded Councillor the other two. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Item 2 on the agenda, adopt the Russell Park. Supposed to ask you if you wanted to speak. Too late now. Sorry. Adopt Russell Park Master Plan. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Marshall.
Good morning, everyone. This report seeks adoption of the Russell Park Master Plan. It follows on from a recent council workshop where feedback was provided on this topic. The master plan sets a coordinated long-term framework for Russell Park, recognising its significance to the district and its role as a district hub. User groups have recently reinforced the value of the plan and asked for clarity on next steps, and adoption would provide shared direction for council and the community. It doesn't commit council to any expenditure at this stage. Implementation would depend on future council decisions and funding availability. The report also notes the completion of a cultural impact assessment and the intention to arrange for the authors to present that to council. And adoption today would not prevent council from making amendments at a future date and adopting a version 2 in the future. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Any questions?
Chair, perhaps if I can just add through you, the cultural impact assessment is to be presented to council at Waitariki Marae. It may be that coming out of that there are further tweaks to the plan, and Mr. Marshall assures me that it's not a major statutory process to make those if you do decide to tweak it further. So I just we just note that for the committee's benefit.
Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Byrne?
Through you, minor amendments and any further changes, do we now have this at our own disposal? We don't have to go back to the consultants who helped us develop it?
The Chair, yes, that's correct. I've obtained a copy of the latest version from the consultants and we can complete it in-house, just the final touch-ups.
Let me loose with the crayon to draw on.
The reason we got it here.
Councillor Moynihan.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, because just in point 10, where they said they were going to do the draft and take it out to our key stakeholders, but then Cyclone Gabriel came along. So if the master plan is adopted today, but key stakeholders or landowners later disagree with aspects of it, what mechanisms exist to review on the plan? If they haven't actually seen the draft, we were going to show them, and then they'll get, now we'll sign if we do today, and then they'll see it. So what mechanisms have they got if they don't like it?
Yeah, through you. Yeah, so there is the the production of the master plan is not a statutory process. So at any point in time, we could come back to council with a revised version. There's no set procedure we have to go through to do that. It's just the only considerations would be around resourcing and to what extent changes were made.
So I'm going to follow up. My question probably follows that one quite nicely. A con of adopting the plan today is highlighted as the need to carefully manage community expectations, as we currently don't have the budget to implement a lot of things that are in there. Can you walk us through how we will achieve getting that message across to that Russell Park community?
Yeah, through you, we would work closely with our communications department to work on what the messaging, how we frame that messaging. There is a risk, as acknowledged in the report, that previously there has been an expectation that there would be further engagement. It would be just communicating the reasons for why this decision has been made and ensuring that there are opportunities to revisit this, and it's not a difficult process to do that in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Burnham.
For you, just the other side of that though, by having a master plan, does that open up funding opportunities for those stakeholders that they mightn't have had without a vision?
Yes, through you, that's a point I should have made then. There's definite benefits, and we're recommending the benefits outweigh the risks.
Councillor Annan.
The reason that this Russell Park was ever actually developed and had a plan in the first place is because there was a regular meeting of Russell Park users in the very early days, and that was being run and facilitated and I guess and led by people within the community. Then there was a period of time where council stepped in and helped facilitate those meetings. They didn't necessarily lead them, but the facilitation thing that needs to happen to be able to bring people together. And so, yeah, I just would like to see that considered. I'm really looking forward to having the cultural impact assessment presented so that we can actually finalise that part of it into there. But I really like as next steps for operationally for it to be considered that we actually would, even if it was just every 6 months, hold a Russell Park user group meeting. The very first meeting could be that we socialise the plan, and it's there that you can actually maybe do a revolving review. An annual review might be every 5 years, I'm not sure, but it's in that forum that if there was a landing place for those funders like Eastern and Central Lotteries and those sorts of places, then they've actually got a place to land on where they can get a wide range of people rather than people having to use the plan and pick them off one at a time. So just if you could just consider that as part of the operationalizing of this master plan, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Through you, Chair, considering this is our premium part, I think it's a really good idea, and it just keeps the whole master plan live and relevant to the community. So yeah, we will organise that, operationalise that 6 monthly basis.
That'd be amazing, thank you. Because I mean, we've all had different people come to us about different ideas, and it's really nice to even have a place where we can send people to as well, you know, like, so then it doesn't just sit with us. We can then say this is the process for how you get more ideas added into the park. Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions, Councillor Greer?
Yeah, just further to that, presumably the stakeholders are all, well, they have been engaging on this for how many years? Yeah. What stops them still going and doing their own thing?
Through you, Chair. Sorry, when you mean going and doing that?
Going and building without consulting, or, you know, one of them going and doing their own thing and not consulting with the council. That can they do that, or is it
on council land? They would need to have those discussions with us and go through.
It's not all on council land, is it?
No.
Very small amount.
But yeah, those conversations would still need to occur in the right consenting and legal processes. It's, I think, a benefit of the master plan is if community groups are wanting to make improvements, it really supports external funding applications. Yeah, it helps council officers as well to provide advice on what we would support, because it's in an adopted document.
So the benefits of the master plan sort of tends to control what does happen then, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, through you, Chair, I think the idea that we discussed with Councillor Anand would kind of keep everybody on the same page, keep everybody engaged in what's important for the community, and get everybody focused in the right direction, rather than kind of doing, you know, random things. And if we're facilitating, we can advise on the constraints and the opportunities in that. So that's effectively what the operationalizing of this will achieve. Yeah.
Possibly an important part in that is that they've all been involved at some point in the ideas going into this master plan. So hopefully none of it's too much of a surprise. Any further questions? So with the motion, so I've got something I would like to say about the cultural impact assessment that is being in recommendation number 4. The way it reads at the moment is that it sounds like the cultural impact assessment is about the naming of the park. And so I would just like to change that slightly, if the mover, when we put the recommendations to the table with a mover and a seconder, that 4th one actually says notes the completion of the cultural impact assessment and the proposal to arrange for the authors to present to the council. And we could add after that present to the council relating to the name of the park. Add that at the end or leave it out completely. So just open up to any questions there about what I'm suggesting for that recommendation. I think it is in the report that the report does talk about the possible renaming of the park as a result of the cultural impact assessment. The impact assessment is certainly not just about the renaming of the park.
Correct.
Yeah, happy with that change?
Yeah.
So having said that, have I got somebody that's willing to move in second? Councillor Annan move, Councillor Burns second. I'll just read them out before we do that, if you like. That we adopt the attached Russell Park Master Plan, delegates to the Chief Executive the authority to approve any minor amendments to the master plan prior to publication, approves the dissemination of the master plan to principal stakeholders who participated in the initial consultation, noting that implementation will depend on future council decisions and funding availability, and that we note the completion of the cultural impact assessment and the proposal to arrange for the authors to present to council. Actually, full stop. Are you happy with that? Yeah. Would you like to speak?
Just to say thank you, Robert and Mark. Thank you so much for taking this to where it needed to go. It's sort of been lost there in limbo for a little while. So, and yeah, I don't know if it's the stars have aligned, but it makes you look very good, Robert, to see all these amazing things finally come to completion for Russell Park. So, thank you for coming to Central Hawke's Bay and applying your skill there, and obviously Mark, the leadership of you, allowing him freedom to do that. And it's a real joy to drive past there and see even the steps completed, you know, not a goat track anymore. People are really using the park. Love the idea of having the cultural impact statement, you know, having to be able to share ideas around how we can acknowledge and recognise the park's true name in the future. I think, you know, having a place in a document where everybody that has put 15 years of ideas and thoughts and planning into has been captured and recognised. So, yeah, just really stoked to see this come to the table today, and happy to provide any support and backing to any of the operationalising of it. If you need us to show up or anything like that, I'm happy to come along and be invited to those if you would have me. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it often about the master plan being a jigsaw, and it's a very large jigsaw, and council is only holding a few pieces, and our stakeholders hold pieces as well. and we can replace pieces as funding becomes available. And one day we will have the jigsaw completed. And that could be 30, 40 years down the track, but at least we are working all towards the same puzzle now. So I think that's really important. So thank you.
I meant to say you may retire if you wish from the table. Any further comments on the motion? That the master plan responds to long-standing challenges identified through our own sport and recreation facilities plan way back when. And adopting it now provides council, user groups and the wider community with that shared strategic direction that you just spoke about. I'm just reiterating that it does not commit council to immediate capital expenditure as much as we would like, but hopefully that does actually spin into action at some point for us and the community. Right of reply if you wish, Councillor Anand, and thank you for your involvement in this. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. And apologies for not, the previous item about the library, apologies for not giving the mover and the seconder the chance to speak. That was an oversight on my part and I apologise. Information report section. Next one is the LTP project status report. Mr. Chamberlain, you're presenting this to us today. Page 74.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and morning councillors. So this report is a standing item that gets brought regularly to you to update you on the long-term plan and the process and where we're up to. It's normally brought by Mrs. Harvey, but she's on leave at the moment, so I get the privilege. Happy to report that everything's largely on track. Phase 1, which was the planning and setup of the program, has now all been completed, and we are moving into stage 2. So stage 2 is starting to look at some of the policies and updating those. Just highlighting that the key risk with this program is that we're in a period of reform, and at this stage not all of that reform has gone through legislation, so there's still some moving pieces. As I said earlier, the next phase will be the key inputs, and that's largely around the policy strategy setting. Over on the appendix, particularly on page 2 of the appendix, you'll see what is coming up and the dates that they're set for. And in fact, this afternoon, you're going to get further workshop items on some of the strategy and policy work as it kicks off. Happy to take the report as read and happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Chamberlain? Councillor Moynihan.
Thank you, Chair. Just in one, which was in orange, which you've brought it up, about the upcoming future regulation expected in mid-2026. So if the DIA introduces new requirements, will there have to be any contingency funding need to be allowed for any potential compliance costs that may happen? Do we need to factor that in?
It's very hard to know at this stage without knowing exactly what the policies are. Obviously, if there is budgetary impacts, they'll be brought to the table once they're known.
So that's a no at the moment.
At the moment, we're not planning on putting any contingency budgets in place, but obviously, as this evolves and acts over the next sort of 6 months, we'll have a better idea as to whether something's required.
Any further questions for Mr. Chamberlain? You may tell Mrs. Harvey that you presented with pride and we had no questions.
Very good.
Thank you. Do I have someone to move on page 74 that the committee receives the 2737 long-term plan project status report dated the 31st of March? Councillor Moynihan, Seconded, please, councillor Lawrence. Would you like to speak? I'd just like to say I look forward to seeing updated versions of the project dashboard at future committee meetings. It's quite a cool thing. We've seen it in the land transport and other areas, and to see it so easily seen and red, amber, green, not rural advisory group, which is what I thought it was. I was like, rural advisory group, what's that? It's on the top of the dashboard. Red, amber, green. Yeah. So no right of reply. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. And in record time, date of the next meeting is the 16th of June 2026. Would somebody like to move that? Bria, very seconded. Councillor Nepiapatu. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. So the time of closure is 9:35. Yeah, they're both the same today. And we were going to stop for, I'll just give that a chance to stop. Oh, we were going to stop for morning tea now, but we're way early. So just perhaps if you leave it on, because would that stay the same for workshop, Annalie? If we went into workshop, we don't live stream workshop. Okay, thank you.